I appreciate you chiming in. This is a group we've created here at Dallas Preston Road. Instead of, we're on the ALC, and instead of having, ALC type meetings each and every month, we've formed these community groups, things that we're passionate about. And my initial group was about philanthropy and giving back, because I think so many benefit from the communities that we serve in. And then this group I created with a buddy, Brad, here, that I wanted to bring in respected leaders from all over the world to just give us a few minutes of their time and talk about their business, mindset, whatever is on your heart. And so I appreciate you today honoring us with a few minutes. I don't believe we've ever met in person, but I can tell you that I feel like I'm that stalker brother who's, I know there's so many people around the world that I respect and I look at from a leadership standpoint, and you're one of those. You've got a few titles that I aspire to have. I've owned 3 or 4 different market centers. Currently, I'm an investor in the Lake Cities Market Center here. I think the OP role is one that I'm chasing now, and I expect to have that by year's end. So I appreciate you leading the way, and the floor is yours.
Thanks, Ben. Well, yeah, I appreciate being on. I like to hear that you want to get more opportunity. I think that's something that I don't know if everybody here, you grew up saying, I want to be a realtor and I couldn't wait to be a realtor. I don't know if that's the case. I know some people grow up and say, I want to be a police officer or a school teacher or a doctor. I don't hear a lot of people growing up wanting to be realtors, but I will say it's probably one of the most forgiving industries out there, meaning you don't need a lot of education. You don't need a lot of things to do really, really well in this genre. And there's so many things that come off of real estate, right? You just mentioned, I'm assuming you're an agent too, correct, Ben?
Correct. Yeah.
Is everybody
32, almost 33 years. Yeah.
Is everybody on this call agents?
Yes. Yeah. Other than my success manager, Christina, I think everyone else is agents. Yeah.
I love that title too, success manager.
Yeah. Thank you.
So with that being said, I think, it's as simple as, for me was always knowing that status quo was never a good thing, meaning that if I'm going to do something, I want to do it like really well. And even when I was a state trooper, when I was there, I gave it everything I got. And I actually was nominated for Trooper of the Year. I was, probably one of the first guys to get in positions that really I could go anywhere in the whole state and pick the job that I wanted. And I picked the wrong job because I ended up going to the casino unit when I had the pick of the litter. And I would say I picked the wrong job, meaning not to take off as a state trooper and be the colonel, which is the ultimate, right, to be the head of the police organization. I took a job that probably gave me the intel that I needed, that I was no longer wanting to be a state trooper anymore. So I sometimes, the bad things help you find the good things, right?
Amen.
So I was able to find, I guess you would say, my happiness, because I don't know about everybody on this call, but maybe you're not happy being a realtor. I don't know that. Maybe you weren't happy doing whatever you were doing, but I wasn't happy being a state trooper. I was really happy when I was being entrepreneurial and selling real estate and running, the life, living the life I wanted to live, doing what I wanted to do. And it took me about 17 years, I guess 14 years to truly mentally unplug and get and leave, meaning that I financially was in a place that I felt I could leave. I was mentally in a place I thought I can leave. And I started to have the building blocks to leave. I think if you think about like any real estate or any business, the important thing is what's the old saying? busyness is not meaning we're achieving anything, like being busy, because I was busy, right? I was part-time, I guess you could say part-time. I was a trooper, I was a realtor, I was an investor. Busy, not saying that I was making like 100,000 here, 50,000, So the first thing is I had to get my priorities in order. And there's a book called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. I don't know if anybody ever read John Maxwell. Yep. And one of the laws, or the law of priorities. So getting your priorities in order. And I think good leaders will be in priority mode forever. I think everyone on this call, if you're not figuring out what your priorities are, then that's an issue, right? So my priorities today was, I am prepping now for the ALC clinic right here. I'm actually teaching CV worldwide. So later I'm going to switch to that, because I didn't even know that they don't do KPAs in worldwide. They do the DISC, which is kind of odd, because I don't know if Gary really likes that, knowing him. So and then I had to prioritize, my divisional role, my regional role, my market center, and my team role, right? And today is not a team day, and I don't think today's a market center day, except for the stand-up that I was on at 15 minutes. So me being really focused on my priorities allowed me to mentally be really ready for today. So I think anyone on this call, if you're a business owner, prioritizing is important, and then prioritizing in your 20%, that 80-20 principle, Pareto's principle. Everyone knows that one, right? On this call. This is the high level call, right? This is the high level call. And we're all supposed to be teaching 6PP in honor of Dave Jenks, I think, soon in October. So if you haven't done it, someone here can maybe step up to do it, or I know we're teaching it as a region in October in our region. But that E to P, or that 80-20, focusing on the 20% activity that leads to 80% of your results. I think that's also a biggie that most, even us high achievers, don't do enough of, right? We kind of stay in the 60%. We don't really dabble too much. It's not really the 20, it's like 60, 50-ish. And the reason we do it is because, we have this thing called email, Ben. And right now, you guys, either your phone or your email can kind of take you on a journey itself. And when you open up that email, you know what's going to happen, right? You're going to go right to that problem, or you're going to go right to that thing. So part of me being a successful dual career, as I started to shift to a business person, is not only 80-20, but I started to figure out models and systems that allow me not to do things that would take me into the 80% stuff. And the phone is a biggie. It's a really biggie. Social media, all that stuff. Emails is a biggie. And not being true to my time block is a biggie, because being a full-time trooper, 40-ish hours a week, really forced me to be really, really spot on with my calendar and an alignment to my goal. So I had to really know why I'm doing what I'm doing. Does my calendar align to that? And then I have action, meaning that I have to be able to track and measure, am I winning, am I losing, where am I at? And for some people, it might be financial. For some people, it might be listings. For some people, it might be, I don't know. I'm just curious on this call, what's the measure stick for anyone? And you can say it out loud or in the chat box. What's the measuring stick if you know you're winning in your businesses?
Well, I've got everyone on mute, but you can unmute yourselves if you need. But for me, it's family served. I feel like I had to change the narrative probably about 20 years ago. And then instead of talking about units, it was just family served. I like the sound of that because it makes my heart happy. Because at the end of the day, it's not about, do you sell 10 homes, do you sell 110, but if you can impact the lives of 10 families, then that's very positive. I love the positive spin on that. And I would say that most folks on this call that I see would all agree with that. Most would not disagree. But I'm curious, especially from you, Meryl, because you're such a high producer, And I'd love for this audience to, like I said, this guy right here rocks big time. Meryl, so how do you, I've got you off mute now. How do you measure it?
My big why were my 4 sons, and now I have a grandson.
Yeah.
Now they're all adults. So when my youngest son went to Georgia State and then got a full ride,
yeah,
they just did not need me the way that they needed me before. And I really was impacted by that. And for a long time, I really sort of drifted because I had no debt other than my mortgage. And then I've decided, well, who said I have to have a mortgage? So I had to create something that would give me the drive that, I felt was leaving me.
Yeah.
And I had my first son at 23, so I was a young parent. So that was really something. So I've had to really redefine, and I'm also 57. So I had to really redefine this next season of life. And for me, this is not going to line up much with the Red Book, but I have to have fun and enjoy what I'm doing. Yeah, so if I don't like the people, I really, I don't have to do that. And so for many years I worked because I had to, and I don't have to. I can do everything that Meryl Johnson needs in life probably and live very comfortably with 2 sales a month.
Yeah. Well, I know you're doing more than that, so I appreciate you. But
I really love that I've created a life that can function on that little bit.
Yeah.
And in our market, that's not really, and because this is my 20th anniversary next month, that really happens almost by itself.
Yeah.
So I really am doing what I enjoy. Like people have talked about retirement.
Yeah.
And at 7, I really don't have a plan. I don't want to retire. I don't want to just sit around. And I can do as little or much of this real estate as I choose to. And I enjoy that. So if I want to take a vacation and take off for a week, I can do that, and I do.
There you go. John, would you, I would assume with your schedule and again, being, honoring Pareto's principle, I mean, if you're in Florida and you're up in Pennsylvania and Delaware areas that you either manage, how in the world do you do that? And I'm assuming that leverage is very and vital for what you do.
Yeah, leverage and hiring the right people, right? So
yes,
all my businesses have phenomenal people that lead them. I'm not I might own them or, whatever, the investor in them, but I don't lead them, right? Yes. There's people that lead them, and I just cast the vision and make sure that the vision's being carried out. And back to what Meryl said, part of life is being happy, and I was unhappy for a long time, and that affects everything. I think it affects your business output. It affects your obviously your marriages, your relationship with your children, your relationship with your own business partners and all that. So, but when you're happy, you tend to kind of exude that throughout, right? The way you behave, the way you treat people. And, I know it's corny, but when they talk about the 50 signs of culture, when we do the cultural summit and we kind of go through all of them, and the last one says, be nice, right? Number 50, I think, is be nice, or 51. It's hard to be nice when you're stressed out and you're not happy. And you think you're being nice, but are you really being nice? And I learned moving here how nice some people really are. Meaning, like, for instance, we purchased our house yesterday, me and my wife. We were renting here as we were building a new construction. And our daughter plays volleyball. And I guess someone seen a post that my wife put and said, hey, I know that you have volleyball late tonight. We would love to take your daughter. We'll pick her up from school from the game, because she has 2 games, the high school game, and then she practices in a club team. We'll take her home, feed her, take her like out, it's out far, pretty far, late at night. and then go the opposite direction to drop her back off at our house, as opposed to us going, late, like 9:30, 10, knowing that there's a lot going on with buying a new home and little things like that, where I would never do it. Not because I don't want to, because I'm too busy, and it just reminded me that sometimes I got to slow down to see how I can be a better human being, right? How can I help people more, be more aware of that? And I think being happy and being in your zones, like Merrill would say, is, just feeling like I'm good, right? Like I don't need to really work if I don't want to. I don't really need to live in Pennsylvania if I don't want to. I can kind of wake up and decide not to work today, right? That's not a bad feeling. Now, I'm not saying it's how I behave, because I like to work and I have a very, very incredible work ethic. However, it's a pretty good feeling knowing I don't need to do anything.
Absolutely.
And I think, if you're a realtor or whatever you are, right, you got to be happy, right? You got to be walking through the hallways or whistling when no one's watching, about whatever you're doing. And I think that's what really has allowed me to feel number one, to run businesses from everywhere. Because listen, I probably get more done here than when I'm there, because when I'm here, it's structured. No one's here, right? It's me and the two dogs. Everyone's gone. But when I'm in the office, you got a minute. Hey, could you teach this? Can you do this? So to me, the virtual world has allowed me to do more. I've hired more team leaders in the virtual world. I've acquired more businesses in this virtual world. I've probably done more listening and podcasts and reading since I've been in this virtual world. So for me, it's been a very productive couple years in this new COVID,
right,
latent world that we're in. So, but I think it goes back to everyone on this call is, are you happy? And if not, why are you not? And if you're not, can we change that, right? And if you can't change it, who in your world can? And that's where you start getting the mentors, to coaches, to friends that actually have, that are where you want to be. Because I don't know about you guys. I don't really think the other thing about me is I'm really private. I do a lot of these talks, and but later in the day when I talk so much, I'm like done. Like I don't have anything for anybody, like kids, wife, nothing. To me, being able to have a dialogue with Merrill or with you or whatever, and being able to share, any and everything, right? Having those mentors or coaches in your life, because sometimes when you're at the top, like if you lead teams here, right, or if you're the OP or you're the RD or whatever, or you're president, right? It's lonely up here, and sometimes you probably can't go to your team leader and saying, some things, right? You got to have, you're the OP, you're supposed to be the leader, the mentor. That's where you go to your coach and your people that your sphere or whatever, and you might share some, hey, I'm having a challenge with this, or I'm struggling with this. What do you think, right? And I don't know if we do enough of that too. Even in this world, agents, right? You just keep struggling, right? You're not making enough money. You just keep struggling, right? You're not getting enough listings. You just keep struggling. You're not happy at home. You just keep struggling, instead of just maybe asking some questions. And really, this is for everyone on this call. Like the one thing that I've been trying to do is help more people. So if someone really reaches out to me, like you did, even to do this, for the most part, I'll figure it out, because you took the time to ask me, which a lot of people do not. Right. Now, again, there's sometimes you just can't do it, but if my schedule works, let's do it. And it might not have to be for this. It might be just to brainstorm. It might just be, hey, I want to be a division leader one day. How do I get there, right? I want to be an OP. I'm broke. How do I get there? Okay, there's a way, right? Just like I invested in, I own a bunch of real estate now, and I started with $2,500 back in 1999, which is, multi-million-dollar portfolio now. I didn't have the money then, and even I'm buying a building now that I'm just like surreal. It's like awesome. You always think you're going to own these big, giant market center buildings, and I didn't have the money 10 years ago, but now, we're buying a, multi-million-dollar building, 25,000 square feet on 8 acres in the heart of the town that I, grew up in. and I used to look at that building like, that's cool. Like who owns that thing? So it's just the circle of life, and I did it all from here. I actually haven't even been, I've been back at home 2 times in 2 years, which is crazy.
That's crazy.
I'm going back for a social equity event next week, the golfing event, but which means a lot to me too, that whole movement. But besides that, man, I've been sitting here in flip-flops in Florida.
Well, again, I'm glad that you're sitting here today, and I hope that folks got value from it, because I think, John, what I take away from it is being a leader myself. I know how important it is that, yeah, I smile, I give time when I can, I support, I help. I know that's how I'm led, and I feel like you're the same way. And I tell folks, you never know who's watching. You never know. And again, see, you didn't know that I've been watching, because I've heard your story probably 3 times. And I'm like, you know what, John's above me. And I've accomplished a lot in this business. And I'm looking at you. And I think it's important to always cast a vision of those that are where you aspire to be. And so you're leading the way for me, and I'll take countless others. What you're doing with the social equity is fantastic. I know you've got to manage your time, because if I'm not mistaken, you've got, is it 3 girls and a boy?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, that's crazy when you have to manage that. I have 2 boys myself, and one's in heaven, but I know how crazy it is managing that. So again, I told you I'd be respectful of your time, because I think at 10 o'clock you've got something else going on that you've got to get to. So unless you want to leave us with another, parting word, I so appreciate you and respect you.
I wrote a quote down from John Maxwell. We always, I love quotes from 2 people, Gary and John Maxwell. And I won't choose, because I think they're both incredible human beings. But the quote that reminded me of something that'd be good for this group is, leaders should get out of their comfort zones, but stay in their strength zone. And when I think about that quote, was me as that state trooper for years, staying in the comfort zone, right? I was just comfortable. I was just making enough money. I was just doing enough, but I wasn't happy. And I didn't feel, I didn't feel like I was accomplishing anything. And I think, no matter what it is, right? Whatever you're doing, right? Like, get out of that comfort zone. That comfort zone is no good. If you're doing 10 million a year, every year, you're comfortable, right? If whatever you're doing, that you keep doing it every year and year, that you're probably comfortable, because you got a habit and you're able to do it. So being an OP will make you uncomfortable, Ben, right? Being an RD will make you uncomfortable, because there's going to have to acquire different skill sets to allow you to succeed in those. And it might not be what you already have, right? So to me, if anyone on this call today, if you're in that comfort zone, think about really how you can get out of it, whether it's challenging yourself to do something different in your business, taking on a better market. Like if you're in this market that's $300,000 average sale price and you wanted to make it 4, okay, then go to the other market. Start hitting the lead lever there to get that other market going, right? If you want to do 5 more listings, challenge yourself to do one, within that next 30 days, whatever that is, get out of that comfort zone. That would be my advice to anyone on this call.
And get in, what'd you say? And stay in that strength zone. I like that.
Stay in the strength zone. Yeah, get out of the comfort zone and stay in the strength zone. Because we're all good at something.
Amen.
Go ahead and master that, and then move on and get uncomfortable.
Well, look, I appreciate you. I'm taking that away. You'll probably hear or see me say it again, because I'm going to be on a call, I think, next Wednesday. So I'll probably reference that, and I'll cite you for it. So, John, I appreciate you for honoring me and Brad today with this talk. I got a lot from it. Guys, I appreciate you all chiming in. Trust me, chime in next week, because each and every week, like I say, each and every week, I bring the meat No appetizer, no salad, man. This is straight for the jugular, right? All meat. Okay. And I appreciate you guys, and I look forward to seeing you all hopefully